Hey, Dan Meyer here, and today we're going to talk about essential soft skills. I talked about this last year, but I'm going to put a new spin on it. This time we're going to talk about soft skills as far as the essential soft skills a VA should have and a client needs to understand. A client needs to make sure that they have the VA that can do these things and they empower the VA knowing these things, and the virtual assistant is able to find a client that allows them to put all this stuff in play. A good relationship between a client and a virtual assistant boils down to being on the same page. It all starts with the ability to plan and strategize. So the initial plan and strategy should come from the client, but quickly the VA should learn the client's style, the client's expectations, the client's voice, and start being able to be pretty autonomous. And when they're autonomous, they want to make the same kind of choices about things that the client would make if they were doing the work themselves. So there's ability to be able to get outside just taking directions and get away from just the client says do X, Y, Z, and the VA immediately does X, Y, and Z. There's got to be more to it to grow a business. It's got to become a combination of efforts that grow the business, not one person just offloading certain things to the other person. You can grow that way, but not really efficiently, not significantly. So number one, talk about his ability to plan and strategize. Number two is communication skills. Number three is taking initiative. Number four is being patient. And number five is honesty. If you have these five attributes, these skill sets within a VA, and the client understands how to optimize these skill sets in the VA, you're going to be massively successful. This is my story, right? So I grew all of my businesses that have all been successful based on having good virtual teams. My very first business failed because I did it by myself. But every other business I've launched since then, and I've launched 5 other businesses, and I'm about to launch number 6 since that first epic failure, which is a beautiful disaster, but I learned so much from it, but it didn't work because I was on my own. So I immediately hired a couple of virtual assistants in my second business, and voila, boom, everything I've done since has been successful. I've also helped over 40 clients grow virtual businesses, either through having a virtual assistant or hiring entire teams of people virtually. So this is based on my background. I'm a data guy, I'm a nerd, I'm all about nerds using their knowledge to make more money, and virtual staffing is one of those sweet spots where I understand it well enough to be able to find the right people to do the job and find the right clients that need the job done and match them up and help them be super successful. So that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. I've been growing businesses with virtual staff, both for myself and for numerous clients. So number one I mentioned before was ability to plan and strategize. So a good VA helps keep the client organized. This is especially important for clients that aren't very organized themselves. People that are people that are out there and do it, that are just go, go, go. If you're not really strong in organizational behavior, if you don't have a good project management streak, if you don't understand really the importance of having good organized files and having policies and procedures and to-do lists, and if that's not you, have a VA that's good at that kind of stuff, because you need to have those things done in your business. Great VAs are well versed in using project management apps like Trello and Monday and Asana. I just dropped a video the other day about this. So really think about how to have a key piece of your business built out of a project management tool. And then when it comes to things like planning your social media, strategizing how to do social media, come up with a big picture. Maybe come up with a strategy, but let the VA be the one to do it day by day. Having a business owner or an entrepreneur be the one out there on social media every day is a complete waste of your time. Because one, it takes you away from doing other things. And two, it's hard to be consistent. And social media, to be effective, is all about consistency. You have to drop really engaging content on a set schedule, time after time, consistently without missing, because your clients, your audience, your tribe's going to get used to consuming your content at a certain time. And when they go look for it, it's not there, or there's not a reminder that normally they rely on to remind them to go look at something, they're not going to. So strategy is super important. Use your VA to help you optimize your strategy. Exceptional communication skills. This is a killer, right? I feel like I'm a pretty good communicator, but I'm always failing communication. It's one of those things where I don't think anybody's perfect at it. Yeah, maybe I can speak great in front of a room. I can teach a class all kinds of technical stuff. I'm really good at communicating in front of the room. But I also have to be really good at communicating when I'm not in front of the room. And when we're in a digital workspace like now, it's hard to communicate using text or using a messaging app like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. It's really hard to communicate via email. So we got to think about how do we adapt and be adept at using web conferencing tools like Zoom and Skype. We got to have more FaceTime. We got to use FaceTime, Facebook FaceTime, or use Zoom or use Skype or whatever it is to have regular meetings, check-in calls. Don't just rely on text and conversations. You lose things when you can't look at people in the face and see what they're saying as far as the nonverbals and the inflections and what they're really trying to get across with their words. You can also delegate a lot of communication skills to your VA, right? So when it comes to communicating with clients, when it comes to doing customer follow-up, things that have to be done via email or text or messaging, you don't always have to do it yourself. You can delegate some of that. So communicating both within your team, between you and your VA or you and your team, and communicating to your tribe, to your clients, to your customers, your followers. Make sure those things are optimized using good communication tech that really empowers communication skills. Number 3, initiative and proactiveness. A soft skill is super important for VAs to take the initiative and be proactive. This is really important because people that are in a business for themselves, that are entrepreneurs, they're always thinking ahead. They're always moving forward. They're always thinking down the road. And it's really hard for people to keep up with them. So you want to think about this on both ends. The VA has to take the initiative and has to be proactive to even try to keep up with the entrepreneur who is living their dream, who is taking what they want to do, their passion, and working on it every day. Somebody who doesn't have that same passion, it's really hard to keep up. So think about that as the entrepreneur, as the business owner. You're trying to get someone to buy into your dream, but before they are able to understand it and really buy into it, you got to expect it to take a while for them to kind of learn it, to get with it. You're going to be a lot of times where you're going to have to explain things a couple times. You're going to have to be able to go back and do things that you thought they would do by themselves, but you have to redo it. It takes a couple weeks, maybe a month, to get kind of that process in place where they can feel comfortable to take initiative and be proactive. Nobody can come in day one and be proactive in a business. They'd just be guessing, and a lot of times they might guess wrong. So knowing how to use a VA to do things like use social media like LinkedIn and Facebook to attract new customers, to take initiative and bring people in, that's a good thing to start them off in. Trying to figure out how to get them to fix things that you're not good at, project management stuff, organizing things. That's a good way to get them to take initiative. But to get them to come in and think of a strategy for your business and start growing your business, no, come on. That's not going to happen overnight. You need to really kind of prepare for that. You want to build a safe environment where they're going to be able to level up. I talk about how it's important to have a VA master the vertical before going horizontal. You want them to excel in one or two things like social media posting or email follow-up before you give them everything. If you give somebody too much too soon, they're going to fail. Let them build confidence. Let them build expertise. And in that area of expertise you delegate to them, they will then start taking initiative and being proactive. But you can't expect it across the board from day one. That is a recipe for disaster. Number 4 is patience. You got to be patient. I mentioned this a second ago. You got to be patient with the VA. You got to look at the long game. I have a lot of clients who come in and expect magic and are gone a month later, 2 months later. And I talk to them about it throughout the process. Like, you got to be patient. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get to know the VA. You have to get in the sync. You're going to have to learn each other. They're going to have to learn your voice. You're going to want them to become a representative of your business. That does not happen overnight. That takes months. In some cases, it can take 2 or 3 months, much longer than most people have patience for. And that's where a lot of VA relationships fail. A lot of clients just expect too much too quickly, and they're not investing the time it takes to grow the VA. Now, people will say, I don't have time to teach a VA. Well, if that's your attitude, you're going to fail. Because you have to teach a VA, even if the VA has skill sets to do certain things, they can't read your mind. They can't do things exactly the way you want to do it. That's foolish to think that. Even the best VA takes a couple months to really get good at what it is you want them to do. You have to be patient. And same for the VA. Be patient with the client. If their communication style is not what you're used to, if they're kind of like, if they're direct, if they're brisk, if they're abrasive, if they're just not your kind of person, give it some time before you bail. Make sure that you can adapt, because adaptability is key, especially because we're trying to do things virtually. Again, patience can really come out of having face-to-face conversations. If all your conversations with somebody are via text and you're getting frustrated with them, you need to take time to have a face-to-face. Having that eye contact, having the ability to have empathy via non-verbals, and really trying to take a moment to relate to a person-to-person is super important. If you're out of patience, before you give up, have a one-on-one via a Zoom call and see if that helps. Last thing we'll talk about is honesty. You have to both be honest. A lot of VAs will promise they can do a lot of things because they probably can learn them if they need to. And they also want to try to do everything well. But they can overpromise. They can say, I can do that when they're not really sure how they're going to do that. Or more typically, they're going to think they can do that based on what they've done in the past for previous clients. But they're going to find out that for you, it's just different. For example, something as simple as posting every day on Facebook. The expectations of what happens when you post something, with the engagement, with the follow-up, with the ability to do more and more, to level up your Facebook posting. It takes a lot of honesty about the client saying, this was good, but I don't like it. Tweak this, tweak that. And it takes a lot of patience and honesty from the VA to say, okay, I didn't understand what you meant. Can you refine that? Can you give me some more ideas? Can you have a conversation? Again, goes back to communication, right? If you're not in sync, the only way to get in sync is to have face-to-face conversations. Keep track of a VA's time to keep them honest and tell them to build your report. Any VA with their grain of salt will be happy to provide you with a weekend report, a daily report, a month-end report on what they have accomplished. That way you build trust. If you just have somebody doing something, you don't check in with them on a regular basis, you're going to think, well, I trust them and I want them to grow. That's the opposite way you should go. It's going to fail. You have to be over invested in tracking in the beginning. And then after time, you can lessen up the tracking when you build that comfortable relationship between each one. But honesty, it comes out of trust, and you can't really have trust if you don't know what your VA is doing. On the flip side, a VA needs that sense of accomplishment. They need to submit something saying they accomplished this, they did this, and they need affirmation. They don't want to keep working in a black hole where they don't know if what they're doing makes sense or not. So having tracking builds honesty. That builds the trust around your business, and that's what you really need to be successful. So these are the 5 things that I talk about when it comes to VAs in my business, new hires we bring in, things I revisit with my veteran staff to talk about with clients, and things I try really hard to get the client to understand when it's a new client starting out with a new VA, especially a client who hasn't worked with a lot of VAs before or has had bad experiences with VAs before. You have to be patient. You have to build honesty. You really have to think about the communication, how to build strategy. You have to have good expectations. All this stuff takes time. Don't hire a VA and expect magic if all you're going to do is say, go do this and think it's going to get done exactly the way you want it. That's foolish. So that's my talk for today. Right now, if you're curious about learning more, you can go to our website, sonicva.com, sonicva.com. I built this company for one purpose, to be able to let you focus on what you do best by hiring us to do all the rest. The recipe for success for Sonic VA is that we help you build more consistency. We help you have more clarity in your message. And we build a sense of certainty between you and your clients, you and your customers, you and your tribe about what you're going to give them, how often, and what it's going to feel like when it's working right. This kind of stuff is super important. So we have VAs that can help you manage your social media, set up project management tools, create really cool graphics, edit YouTube-ready videos. This is what we do. So I want to thank you for your time. Now I encourage you to go out there and think about how do you really look for the soft skills in a VA? And if you're a VA watching this, how do you make sure that these soft skills are going to be valued by your client? It goes both ways. You both have to invest in the ability to really grow the business hand in hand. So thank you for your time. Now go out there and be awesome.